G'day Space Engineers and welcome back to the ultimate drone tutorial where we will be building this AI smart cargo drone from my Dronely Season 2 from scratch. That's exactly what we did the last episode, so if you haven't seen that, go and check that out before we continue on with that design in this episode, which we'll be getting stuck into logic gates in the vanilla aspect of the game. So when H2 tank and batteries are full, when the cargo is absolutely empty and your base is in needing of resources, I want it to trigger an automatic trigger timer to automatically go and retrieve that resource nice and quickly. So we've already got one event controller in here to see if it is full and to tell it to come back home, as we saw in the last episode. But we need to add another event controller, +3, so 4 total, to make sure we can check the hydrogen, the battery. So we'll just get them all down: the hydrogen, the battery, the low resource needed from your base, as well as an empty cargo, for the fact that in the last episode we just returned this cargo drone from the resource or the drill platform, and it's still all full because there's no storage, there's nothing we're telling this drone to empty out. So the way I'm going to plan on doing this is I'm going to want the drone to be my base's storage container of this specific ore, which is cobalt itself. So there'd be one drone for cobalt, another one for iron, magnesium, blah, 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 blah. But on top of those 4 extra timer blocks, we need 3 extra timers on top of that. So let's go in and get some names very quickly done. Cargo full. We'll need one for cargo empty. Power check. H2 check. As well as the cargo. Nope. Power H2 cargo empty. Low resources. Let's just do low res. That should be perfectly fine. So we want this timer block to be named H2/power, as that's the combination I'll be using it for. It's just the way the logic gates work in vanilla aspect of Space Engineers. This one will be the low res / cargo empty. And this one here will be the auto trigger. Fantastic. I'm going to highlight all 3 of these and put them on 1 second and on silent, just as my default kind of setting. We can always change it from there if needed. So what do we need to do? So the cargo full, it's already done. So I'm going to exit out and then go back into it, just so it kind of reorganizes the alphabetical order. So the cargo empty is the one we need to check all 4 of these cargo containers on the drone. So let's add all 3 of them. And only when it is below 0.1%, so equal or less than 0.1%, when it sees all of these with this AND gate button selected. So without this, it would only view one of these containers, and if one of the containers is at 100% and the rest is below that, it would still trigger this. So what we want it to do is we want it to select all 3 of these containers and view them as one. I hope that makes sense with that AND gate setting on. So when it's below 0.1%, this is the low resources cargo empty, so it'll probably be down here. So we just get this to turn that timer block on. If not, have it off. Awesome. So that's the cargo empty, cargo full. H2 check, so we want it to look at all of the batteries, and we need to go to the power, no, gas tank, which one is it? Stored power percentage. When this is equal or greater than 100%, and I'm doing this for a specific reason I'll explain later. And when all 4 of these batteries, add those, equally are above or at 100%, I want it to turn the H2 power to start. Actually, I'll get this to, yeah, I'll get this one to start it. So far, we've got one to turn on the low-res cargo empty timer block. And we've got this one here to start the other timer. So now we need to finish it off. And I'll simplify it at the end when this is all done. Low resources may not be needed. I'm just getting over COVID. If you haven't noticed already with my voice, I'll just double check on this one. Low resources. So that's the drone check for the cargo empty. That's the power. That's the H2. And this is the low resources. So this one here, it just starts that timer, which would be up here. So we've got the H2, the low resources / cargo empty, and then the auto trigger itself. So I'm pretty sure I might even be able to remove that, as this is a rebuild of that drone, but I want it to be more efficient and less buggy, if that makes sense. So if I'm able to remove a block throughout this process, I will certainly do so. So we've got one for when it returns back to base, when it fills up. And then one condition is it's empty. And let's just get the power check. The low resources, H2. No, that's the H2. I want gas tank filled. What am I doing, Sharpie? Add those with the AND gate. And that's above 99.9. With the power, I want it to do that. So let's try and remove that, and I'll summarize it at the end with what I've done. Yeah, and then that one can just turn that on. Okay, I have summed it up extremely well, and I think I've got the handle on it now. So I've removed one of the 3 timer blocks and one of the new event controllers out of 4 of them. So we've still got the cargo empty, the RTB for when it's full to go back to base, the H2 check, and the power check. So I'll just go through them very quickly on how I'm going to get this set up. Is when its cargo is empty with all 3 of these containers on the drone with the AND gate, so it will see all of these cargo containers as one and will not trigger if only one of them get to 100% before the rest. So that's very important that that is clicked so it sees all of this as one individual item. When it is below 0.1%, I want it to turn the auto trigger on. That's all I want it to do. When it gets below 1% of its capacity or the cargo space in it, so it's emptied itself out into a... Ooh, wrong button. It's emptied itself out into a refinery and it needs to go get resources, so that's fine. The hydrogen check, when it gets above 99.9% with all of these, same thing with the AND gate, I want it to turn on the H2 power timer. With the power check, when it's above 100% with all of these batteries and the AND gate, when that gets above that, I want it to start that same timer. So when the hydrogen is full, it'll turn this timer block on. This one here, it'll turn it on. So let's start it off. And when it needs, and when it also has full power, it will also start this. So when this triggers, since it's got full power and full hydrogen, we want it to start this timer right there. So when its cargo is empty, it will already turn that auto trigger low resource timer block on. And when its hydrogen and its power is full, it will then start this timer. So let's turn both of these timers off and let's see how we go with this. So let's do a quick shift F5. And the way I'm going to work this is that obviously when you have a refinery or whatever it may be, it actually will start draining all of your things automatically out of wherever it is supposed to come from. So let's get this on here, and obviously it starts empty, but it will not be empty for long. So here we go. Let's see if this automatically triggers. I don't think it will because the batteries are not anywhere near close to being 100%. So it's at like not very much, to be honest. So let's go ahead and manually get this to trigger out since the batteries are at 30%. So let's get 30.5. And it is draining, so that's why we need to get a reactor on this bad boy to get some more power in here. Uranium. Here we go. So now these batteries should now start coming up. There we go. The inventory is still full as it's still in here. So let's see if we can speed this process up and just drop some on the floor. There we go. And it should automatic. No, it won't. That's why I'm an idiot. I never told this to start the trigger. That's why it's not doing it. That's why it's not doing it, Sharpie. We need to tell it to trigger the timer. So now when it all gets triggered, it should then work. So let's manually trigger this one for now. Just like so. So then it's going to go over and get some resources. And comes on down. Probably speed it up quite a bit, to be honest. There we go. So now it should be filling. Good, good. Excellent. So now we're just waiting on this cargo full to all be above 100%. We're just waiting for the third and final container. Right about there. Excellent. Automatically will trigger on the way home. Excellent. Triggering that RTB timer. Absolutely fantastic. And as you may notice, I might as well say it now, when it gets back to the base, you may notice that the timer blocks here that should be off to automatically trigger itself once again are in the on position. They need to be off for the logic system to work. So let's go into this right here and tell itself to trigger that and then turn itself off. Same with this one. Let's turn it to trigger something and then turn itself off. So once it triggers again, they will then be perfectly fine. Same thing on here. These ones should be okay because they are on the drone itself. But if necessarily, just want to turn them off at a specific time once it locks onto your base, just on like that unload timer. But I'll leave it off and see if it has been somewhat reworked in the coding of the game. So right now, let's just wait for that to drop on down. And I'm going to see if I can speed this up. There we go. Oh, no, that one. Thank you. This one here, drain all. So then it should go in here. Good. And then this should be good, apart from the power. 45, 46, 47. So let's set that to there, as we want it to trigger faster instead of it being at 100%, which is what you would have this once it's absolutely full. But when you need it, when you first build it, would be the best idea to probably just trigger it manually. And then once it reaches the percentage of battery that you choose, just let it go and do its own thing in the background. So you won't ever have to worry about resources ever again. So this should have started that H2 power timer, which it has. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So now we're waiting on the hydrogen. Yep, that is filling up ever so slowly. That's perfectly fine. That will get there eventually. The cargo empty. It is definitely empty, and it should have turned that auto trigger block on, since remember we did turn it off to begin with. So that's absolutely fantastic. We are now just waiting on the hydrogen tanks to be filled up, which it shouldn't take too long, and it may even be wise just to get it done a little bit faster by triggering this a little bit earlier. So let's go 94%. Anything above 94%, it should automatically do that. There we go. And automatically trigger. There it is right there, fantastically. So when the hydrogen is full, it turns that timer on. When the battery percentage is also full, it would start that said timer. When it's low on resources, aka your cargo containers on your drone are empty, it will turn on that automatic trigger. And once that first timer has then triggered, it would start that auto trigger timer, which then flows on into the actual manual trigger timer, this one right here. Absolutely fantastic. What it's doing now is that it's waiting for it to be completely full, just like so. It beat me to it. And it's going to be flying right home nice and easy. This will be a completely automatically triggerable event that you do not have to worry about. It can just run in the background nice and easy. We will probably very soon be adding a flee functionality to it. But before we get into that later on, I want to quickly show you what would happen if you had a massive wall or something like that covering your entryway into this. So what happens if you've got a gigantic wall in between the two docking things, or you've got something in the way? What happens then? So let's go into here. Let's go ahead and turn this trigger, the manual one, off to begin with, so it cannot trigger on its own. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to disconnect it from the base, just like so. And I'm going to Control Z so I follow along with it, and I'm going to control it, turn its thrusters back on, and I might need the tanks off stockpile for now, which I'll need to add to the hotbar. Stockpile on off. Excellent. So let's turn the connector off, then back on again to get rid of that magnetism. And we'll go over here, nice and clear of everything, and that we can see both of them. So just do a GPS or a waypoint just around the thing itself. But there's a specific way you will need to do it without having to reset absolutely everything. So it's above the dock and then on the drilling platform's dock itself. All we need to do is reverse that order, so the next waypoint on the to drill will be placed right there. So we need to press button 8 right like there. Excellent. Let's go back into the AI to drill. So that's where we are now. That's above the connector and that's on the connector. So let's reverse that back again. So where we are now, above the connector and on the connector for when it loads and starts that load timer from the last episode. Same exact thing on the other one for when it comes back home. So let's go ahead and press button 9 right there and go back into the AI recorder to home and reverse that. So where we are now, above the home bases dock and on the home bases dock, nice and easy right there. So now we should be able to just go back over here, fly on down, turn the thrusters off, the tanks back on stockpile to make sure it is reset, and lock that connector up nice and easy. So now we need to turn that trigger timer back on again. Nice and easy. That's all we need to do. Now we need to wait for the cargo empty. That is done. The hydrogen should be triggered again soon. Oh, hang on. 74. So it then triggers at 74. There we go. And then the power check, it is above that. So let's bring this up to 56. 57, because we need to just catch it. Absolutely perfect there. So now it should fly on over there nice and easy, because we do not have any collision avoidance on whatsoever. So no collision avoidance, and precision mode is also a must to have on. Flies on over to the other one. Here we go. And then flies down onto the connector to start that load timer. Absolutely nice and easy. So this should be, once again, be able to be left alone forever, pretty much, unless it gets attacked, or it may fail its docking sequence, which then I would like to know which docking sequence it failed at. That is also another ability of my smart cargo drone, to tell me on a text screen if it failed at the drill platform or at the base, or if it was attacked, so it got damaged blocks, or even if it was close to an enemy and I'd want it to fly away as fast as humanly possible, as using the remote control block, this one right here. You're able to set the drone out in a lot faster speed of about 100 meters per second, compared to the much more finality movements of the AI blocks themselves. They just don't get up to speed as quickly or as long as they should be, in my opinion. So the drone should just then come on back home, fly above the dock, and dock back down on the connector just there. Absolutely really nice and easy. Here we go. And down we come. If you want to see more of this sort of tutorial on how to build drones and automation in the vanilla aspect of Space Engineers, you're not familiar with my channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to help share that YouTube algorithm and more. And stay sharp till next time, as always, guys. See ya.